Okay, I'm going to try to make this as simple as I can. My field of study is in sonography. Well, that's what I plan on going into. Hopefully after this semester I can get into the program. But to get started, I'll explain what sonography is in forms of physics. Sonography waves, or ultrasound. The human can hear frequencies between 20 hertz and 20,000 hertz. Above that range is called ultrasound. Fun fact that I learned is elephants, they communicate in frequencies below 20 hertz, so we can't hear them communicate. But dolphins and other animals, some other mammals, I think bats, communicate over 20,000 hertz, and that's why we can't hear them, because that's our hearing range. Outside of that, it's called ultrasound. Using the equipment called a transducer, it sends out sound waves. This pulse travels towards organs in the body. You would hold it over. I had an echo done not too long ago, and that's what they use to view my heart. The pulse travels towards organs in the body and reflects back to the transducer to project an image. High frequency to low wavelength equals less diffraction. This is kind of a side fact here. Diffraction is not good for clear pictures. To explain what the Doppler effect is, and this is from chapter 7, it is a change in wavelength and frequency due to motion. This works with any kind of waves. Pitch is higher as it approaches you and dissipates away from you, and that's the example I'm using. I'm using my children for that one. And I'll touch it on after this explanation, but in ultrasound, this describes a I have minutes. In ultrasound, it is very important in sonography. In the sonography field, the Doppler effect refers to the phenomenon where frequency of ultrasound waves changes when they reflect off of a moving object. An example, blood in the body. This is used to assess speed and direction of blood flow. Like I told you, the echo I had, they had to make sure the chambers were working properly. If you have any type of backflow, you would be able to detect that using an ultrasound machine. Abnormalities can be found this way by analyzing the shift in frequencies of returning echo waves. Medical professionals use a Doppler ultrasound for these types of procedures. These are going to be my two helpers today, because kids and physics always go together so well. We're explaining the Doppler effect and the change in wavelength frequency due to the motion in which it's traveling. It can work with any type of waves. The pitch is higher as it approaches you and dissipates away from you. I like to do the siren sound example, which is what they're going to do for me. Okay, boys, are y'all ready? Yes. All right. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, did y'all hear how while you were running towards me, it got louder, and then after you passed, it got quieter? Yeah. Yeah, that's the Doppler effect. So I initially had wave interference / resonance, but what I would like to use is resonance for this assignment. And to explain what resonance is when an object is forced to vibrate and the frequency of the applied force matches the object's natural frequency, an increase in amplitude occurs. And in ultrasound, wave interacts with a tissue structure at a specific frequency, causing the tissues to vibrate and send a signal back to the medical equipment. We call that the transducer. The tissue is vibrating at its natural frequency when the ultrasound matches it. Alright, see if y'all can do it. You're not supposed to make the sound. Okay, so.
Can I go back in my room?
Yes, you can. This one has a higher resonance, or sounds deeper. Then we have. You can barely hear it, but it sounds more hollow. That was fun. There's some goofballs. Okay, and the last one I'm going to explain is the critical angle, and this is from chapter 6. It's the angle of incident that provides an angle of refraction of 90 degrees, or angle of incident value. It's different in air, water, and even in ultrasound. So it varies quite a bit. But in ultrasound, this describes a reflective phenomenon whereby a specific angle of the sound beam will result in total reflection. In this situation, the sound beams will run parallel to the boundary of the second tissue, like from point A to point B. It will run parallel to the tissue without penetrating. This phenomenon will only occur when the sound beam is traveling from a material of low propagation speed to a tissue with higher propagation speed. I haven't learned all that there is to learn about sonography, so that terminology is a little iffy to me. I looked into it though, and it says propagation speed is higher in tissues with increased stiffness and reduced density. And I'm not exactly sure which tissues they're talking about, but I know sonography does not penetrate bone and or the lung tissue. Snell's law ties into this, and let's see. The critical angle is an angle of incident at which an interface between two dissimilar materials or tissues beyond which a new mode appears in the refracted beam and the existing one vanishes. So it's like trying to find a picture, but you're going past it, or it reflects off of it and it vanishes. I would like to do a cup and light example of this. Here's my laser that I've been fighting my children for, so I'm going to try to get that together for you now. This demonstrates the phenomena of total internal reflection by shining a light beam into a cup of water at different angles, where at a specific spot or critical angle the light will completely reflect back into the water instead of escaping into the air, trapping the light within the water. You can see here, if I move it around, it disappears from here. It's not traveling with the flow of water. I have to line it up for it to reflect down into the pool of water.